Hello everyone, Stormwind1 here. Today we'll be having an update on what's likely going to be a multi-day severe weather event over a good chunk of the central U.S. that'll be happening later next week. It will begin on Sunday. Well, it'll be a different system on Sunday, but there is a low-end severe weather risk over southern Missouri on Sunday. Then on Monday, there could be a severe weather set over parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, possibly getting close to the lower Ohio Valley region. And it really begins on Tuesday. Tuesday, multiple states could get involved on some severe weather potential as well. And that could get extended all the way up into parts of Minnesota and also Wisconsin. And then the big day could be on Wednesday, and it really covers a large area of the U.S. as well. And it's unclear if it'll still continue to Thursday or not. Before we get started this video, if you guys would like weather related content, you can subscribe to my channel. We do this stuff here all the time on this channel. Plus, we'll be having more updates on this multi-day severe weather event over the next couple of days. So definitely stay tuned for more updates as well. We're going to get started with the watch warning advisory display, and it's a little bit active out in the U.S. Uh, Fire weather problems over a good chunk of the state, over parts of the central U.S., some scattered wind issues over the western U.S. We also got some freeze warnings and frost advisories over parts of the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, even for parts of the southeast as well. Some areas has actually experienced some snow yesterday, and that's also going to continue today over parts of the mid-Atlantic as well. So it's been an interesting couple days over parts of the eastern U.S. as well. But a lot of cold air won't be lasting too much longer, though, as we are going to expect to see a big warm up early next week. Here's the storm prediction or outlook here for today. No severe weather expected across the country. Now, day two, which is Sunday, we got a slight risk for severe weather over southern Missouri. And really, the tornado threat will likely stay on the lower end, but damage winds and hail look to be the primary threats. Day three, which is Monday, we got slight risk for severe weather from central Texas, and that it does extend through southeastern Oklahoma, most of Arkansas, into parts of southern Missouri. There is a hatched area over parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas that may be for large hail. Then on day four, which is Tuesday, this is going to be a beginning of what could turn out to be a big outbreak of severe weather. There's an enhanced risk for severe weather over eastern Kansas, eastern Oklahoma, and parts of far western Missouri as well, where we also have a 50% slight risk over northeastern Texas, northwestern Louisiana, western Arkansas, through most of Missouri and Iowa, far western Illinois, far eastern Nebraska, and even close parts of Kansas and Oklahoma as well. All hazards will be possible. Then on day 5, which is Wednesday, looking to be the big day, we got a very large area. We got an enhanced risk for severe weather over most of Arkansas, northern Louisiana, southeastern Oklahoma, northeastern Texas, northwestern Mississippi, far southern Missouri, and far western Tennessee, where we also have a standard slight risk, which is the 15% that goes as far south as New Orleans or Mobile, Alabama. That goes all the way up into southeastern Minnesota and southwestern Wisconsin. Guys, this is a very large region. This is probably one of the largest 50% risk areas I've seen in a long time as well, which if you check out the square miles here with the enhanced risk, which is the 30%, it covers about 107,000 square miles. That's a lot of real estate. But it gets even larger when you get into that slight risk, where it covers 365,000 square miles as well. And there's also over 35 million people within that 50% select risk as well, along with 6.2 million people within that enhanced risk as well. So there's a lot of people in a lot of real estate in some type of risk area for day 5. I mean, that's something you don't see very often as well for a day 5 outlook. And then day 6, 7, and 8, predictably too low at this time. We'll begin on Sunday, which is tomorrow, over southern Missouri here. So really, it's going to be capped for most of the day here. But whenever you get to the overnight hours, thunderstorms will begin to develop along a stationary boundary here. And whenever those storms do begin to blow up, they can have some strong updrafts as well, which could lead to some large hail. And eventually, when the storms do calm down as well, they can have some strong downdraft winds out there as well. Which, if we do check out the HRRR model again for the supercell composite, you can see here where the thunderstorms are blowing up. The supercell composite numbers are elevated out there as well, which if we do get a sounding out there over southern Missouri, you can see here there is a decent amount of wind shear going on here. Storage velocity values. Let me change the color here real quick so we can see a little bit better when I circle things. Okay, here we go. So storage velocity, generally about anywhere from about 200 to 300. That'd be favorable for severe weather. You do have wind direction of height here between the surface and 700 millibars. Dew point values are on the lower end, about 56, but that still be good enough for at least for thunderstorm activity as well. That's a pretty small hodograph, though. I will say that is a very tiny hodograph that could limit the tornado potential. But the lap rates, though, are on the stronger side as well, especially in the mid levels. They're on the strong side, which can lead to some stronger updrafts as well. You also got very strong downdraft K values as well, up to 1100. That can really help increase that damage wind threat. And now, even though surface space cape is like around 600, if you look into mixed layer cape, it's actually up to 1400, and that can lead then again to some strong updrafts as well. So really, by the sounding here, damage winds, large hail will be the primary threat, but the tornado threat will likely stay on the lower end side of things as well, especially given the fact you do have a pretty tiny hodograph out there as well. So generally speaking, all hazards will be possible. You guys probably notice this. There is some very high numbers over parts of Oklahoma, Texas. Now you'll probably think here, well, there could be a severe weather outbreak here. Well, think twice about that, because if you look into the sounding here, even though you got very high supercell composite numbers out there, the highest number I've seen was a 30, which is extremely high. There's a lot of wind shear and instability out here, but there is a very strong cap here in place. This is when the instability line and the temperature line, which your temperature line is the red line and your instability line is the yellow dotted line. When they cross over, that's a cap. Basically, there's a warm air loft out there, and thunderstorms cannot build through that warm air loft. You need a cold air loft, not a warm air loft. So basically, what's happening here is like it's pretty much like a brick wall. Basically, here, and thunderstorms cannot form through that brick wall. So that's what's kind of going on here, and it's likely going to stay that way throughout pretty much the entire event as well. Which thankfully we do have a cap here, because if you look into some other ingredients, instability values are about 1,000 to 2,000 joules per kilogram. You got some strong upper level winds, and there's quite a bit of wind direction of height. Surface is pretty much due south, 850 millibars. It's from the southwest. You got very strong mid-level lap rates as well, which could lead to some powerful updrafts. And you also have very strong downdraft K values, which can lead to significant damaging winds. But thankfully, with a strong cap here in place, we're not going to see thunderstorms develop in this environment, which is good news. And hopefully that stays that way for Sunday setup there, because that can lead to a significant severe weather event as well. All right, so that's Sunday out of the way. Let's kind of move on to Monday here. So this is about peak time heating for the GFS for Monday setup. You can see here we do have thunderstorms that do develop kind of somewhere along a boundary here that will kind of set up here over parts of Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Texas, as well as some thunderstorms can form along that boundary as well. And you can see here, if we move to the European model, I forgot to set this up. So here we go again for the European model as well for Monday setup here. Here we go. You can see here there are some thunderstorms out there as well from these models here as well. If you do like at 500 millibars for around peak time heating on Monday, there's a lot of divergence out here. The winds at upper levels are not very strong, and that leads to a lot of lift as well. Unless there's a cap in there that can prevent thunderstorms from developing, but regardless if there's a cap there or not, there's going to be a lot of lift out there as well for these storms here to develop. If you check out the NAM model here with the supercell composite here, you can see here there are some elevated numbers out there, kind of along this boundary. You can see here, then again, some pretty high numbers. Usually when you get to those orange and red colors, those are, I consider, moderate to high numbers here. You can see here 7, 8, so some pretty good numbers out there. Let's go to Central Arkansas for the NAM model. It'll take a moment to load. Here we go. You can see here, it's not a really bad environment or anything like that. You can see here from the hodograph for the tornado risk. It's not a very large hodograph, but it can still be supported for tornadoes. But you do notice here, there's a lot of wind direction of height here going on here. From the surface, it's actually about either due south or from the southwest or mid southeast. 850 millibars, it's from the southwest, and then up to 700 millibars, it's about due west. So there's a lot of wind direction of height here going on here. But the winds are not very strong, which is the good news here. The winds are kind of on the weaker side of things. But when it comes to instability, there's actually quite a bit of instability out there. Mixed layer CAPE, though, is up to 2600. That's in the red shade right here. That's mixed layer CAPE. So instability values are on the higher end. Downdraft CAPE is also on the higher end as well, and that's the same way for mid-level aberrates. So given by the sound here, all hazards will be possible. And also should note here, by the way, here, the red line and the dew point line here are pretty spread apart here in the mid-levels, which can lead to some discrete mode. There's a little bit of dry air in the mid-levels, so that could help prevent messy mode out there as well. So if the NAM model were to be correct, all hazards will be possible, including the possibility for some supercells as well. But if we check out the GFS model here, it has a slightly different story. If we get a sounding out there in the same spot here in Central Arkansas, it's a little bit different. You can see here it's already looking a little bit different here, which you don't expect to see a very strong agreement from these models here at all. But it kind of tells you here there is some absurdity. Like I was saying here not too long ago from the sounding from the NAM model, how the dew point line and temperature line were further apart. Well, from the GFS model, it's actually much closer to each other, which can lead to possibly a messy mode. So there are some uncertainty here on what type of mode could be. It's either going to be kind of a messy mode situation, which messy mode could lead to some widespread convection, or it could be more discrete mode, which can lead to more scattered variety of storms, and some of those can go into supercells as well. If we look into some of the other stuff here, like the hodograph, there's a decent hodograph out there. You can also see here wind direction of height here going on here as well. There's actually a little bit more straight to felicity values out there. Instability is not as high here as the NAM here. Take it off maybe about 1,000 joules per kilogram. But still, regardless there, it's still pretty favorable. I also should note here that the mid-level average are actually stronger as well, which could lead to the possibility for some stronger updrafts. So if the GFS model were to be correct, all hazards could still be possible, but it may not be as bad as the NAM solution. Now, there is still some time here for some changes for Monday setup here, but regardless, it is definitely something to watch very closely here, because if models trend towards the NAM solution, there might be a decent amount of trouble for Monday, especially as you get into Monday night as well. So you definitely do live in a parts of southeastern Oklahoma, central southern Arkansas, even back into parts of northeastern Texas as well, and maybe as far northeast as parts of Tennessee as well. Definitely have to pay attention on the severe weather risk as well. And sometimes when there's a major setup here a couple days ahead of time as well, some of these little setups here can be a little bit overlooked as well. Sometimes that happens as well. So Not only you got to watch for the big setup that'll be coming up Tuesday into Wednesday, you also got to keep in mind there's also these little setups here as well, and sometimes these little setups here can't overperform as well, which is then again definitely something to watch here. So you don't want to necessarily want to overlook this type of stuff as well. So that's definitely something I want to note there as well. All right, let's kind of go back here a little bit. We're going to kind of go back and forth by each day here. So Tuesday will be the beginning of your big severe weather event here. So if we go around peak time heating on Tuesday here, we got a very strong low, a 981 millibar low over southeastern Nebraska. There's a lot of snow going on in the cold sector. You can see there over North Dakota, snow could be heavy at times as well. But there's not a whole lot of thunderstorm activity over parts of Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma. There is a lot of thunderstorm activity down here, though. Now, this also does lead to a possible scenario here where there's a possibility where if thunderstorms across the south here over parts of Texas and Louisiana, if they form a little bit earlier on in the day here, there's a possibility that these storms here can rob the moisture because it's kind of like a roadblock here for all this moisture here to go north. So that possibility could be there. If these thunderstorms across parts of Texas and Louisiana develop a little bit earlier in the day, some of the moisture could get blocked here for areas a little bit further north as well. So that's another thing to watch for as well, is to see how these storms here to the south here act as well. There's also still a severe weather risk over some of those areas that are a little bit farther to the south as well. So that's definitely something else to watch for as well. If we check out the European model as well for around peak time heating on Wednesday, a little bit different from the GFS. It's actually got thunderstorms developing probably along the convective prefrontal boundary here. You can see here stretching from western Missouri, southeastern Kansas, down into eastern Oklahoma, even down into eastern Texas as well. And some of those will be the storms to watch here, as those may have the potential to be strong and severe. And here's the placement here of the low here. The European model is slightly slower, but it's also a little bit further west of the low as well. More focused in western Nebraska as well. But regardless here, there are some similarities here from the GFS and the European model as well. Let's look a little bit deeper into Tuesday. So if we check out 500 millibar winds around peak time heating on Tuesday, beginning from the European model, there's tons of divergence out here for these storms here. So you got a lot of lift out there. Lift is going to be pretty strong on this up here as well, which can lead to a large hail threat as well. And if you check out the GFS, again, getting into peak time heating on Tuesday here, pretty similar scenario here. Lots of lift out there as well. If we actually check out the NAM model here for Tuesday, you can see here, this is at the end of the run here from the NAM. Look at all these elevated superset composite values, and it's pretty widespread too. You got high numbers as far north as southwestern Iowa, southeastern Nebraska, that goes all the way down into the Gulf Coast. So a very large area here, and also a very large warm sector as well. You also got a warm front that kind of sets up along here as well a little bit as well. You might need to watch these areas in here as well here, see if any strong severe storms could develop along that warm front over some of these areas out here as well, because you do see some elevated superset composite values out there as well. That'd be another area to focus on too as well. But there's something else here that the NAM's also showing here. Now, this could be an outlier though. I will say that. And here it is. Even though you got a lot of wind shear and instability, strong cap again. And this is a very impressive cap here too. I will say that. Now this is a pretty impressive cap here. So your cap kind of begins at 850 millibars and then goes as far up as probably about 600 millibars as well. So a very strong cap in place here. But if you do check out some of the other ingredients, you got a good amount of wind shear going on here Wind direction of height here, especially in the lower levels. Lots of instability, especially surface based. Downdraft cape is strong. Lap rates are very strong as well. That could lead to some very strong updrafts. So, and of course, here the holograph is not really there because of this very strong cap here of what we got going on as well. But if this cap were not to be here, this would be quite a significant sounding here. If that cap were not to be there as well. But let's check out the GFS model for preference or for a different solution. You can see right here, check out some of those numbers there over eastern Kansas. This guy has the numbers as high as 16. That's a pretty high number from the GFS model here. But let's go to about northeastern Kansas. You'll probably see a little bit of a different story here. Yep, you can see here the GFS model has a completely different story here. The cap is much weaker here in the sounding here. The cap is there, but it is on the weaker side though. And I still think that storms can blow for that cap there as well because the lift out here is going to be strong. You got a really nice holograph. You got strong wind shear values. Wind shear, or sorry, the velocity values, I should say, is on the higher end. Lots of wind direction of height, which those upper level winds are actually pretty strong as well. Decent amount of moisture, dew point of a 66. Instability is there. Downdraft cape is strong. Also, mid-level lap rates are strong as well. So if this sounding were to be correct, if a thunderstorm were to develop in this environment, all hazards will be possible. You got the possibility for hail. Some of them could be very large. Damage winds. Some of that could be significant damage in winds. And tornadoes will be a possibility as well. Some of those could be strong as well. So you got the possibility for significant severe weather on this sounding. So it is really something to focus on very closely here. But then again, from the NAM model, it had no cap. GFS, alright, sorry. The NAM has a very strong cap, meanwhile GFS, not so much of a cap. So there's a big difference between those two models as well. So there is still a little bit of uncertainty here. So then again, it's definitely something to really watch for very closely as well. So let's go ahead and move on to Wednesday. So really by the setup by Wednesday here, this is going to be a very interesting setup here, which I know the GFS ball is likely going to be a little bit too fast here. So really by around peak time hitting on Wednesday here, you got a front that kind of goes through parts of Wisconsin, Illinois, Missouri, and the back of the parts of Arkansas. I would imagine there will be severe weather going through the morning hour. Excuse me, going through the morning hours. Dang, excuse me again. Um, I would imagine severe weather will be ongoing through the morning hours, especially if the cap is eroded already. So then again, I would imagine there will be severe weather ongoing in the morning because there's models out there that still show a good amount of instability even for the morning hours. So I'll say severe weather will still be ongoing through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning and at least through most of the day on Wednesday and even continuing into Wednesday night as well. So basically, all day Wednesday, there's going to be severe weather ongoing pretty much for the entire day on Wednesday. More than likely here. What you see here about peak time heating on Wednesday, you got thunderstorms over eastern Michigan that stretches all the way down into the deep south as well. It even includes the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, as well. And then again, the GFS is likely a little bit too fast with this one, but it has trended closer to the European model as well, which let's check out the European model. You will see what I mean here, where severe weather does kind of continue through the morning hours, which what's interesting here is that the European model also shows a cap here. The reason I know why there's a cap here without looking into kind of the sounding here is because it's got no thunderstorm development. We'll check a sounding out there just to make sure anyway. If we go to western Iowa here real quick, it's going to be hard to get a good sounding here from this type of view. Well, you can see here already there is a strong cap out there as well. So it does lead to some uncertainty here for Tuesday night as well, especially a little bit further up north. So we'll have to wait and see where malls do trend towards next. Still a couple days away. But here you go, getting into Wednesday here. Now the cap does break, and now you got thunderstorms developing over a large area. You got thunderstorms as far north as southern Minnesota, all the way down into parts of Texas and Louisiana. And severe weather is possible within these storms here as well. And you can see here, so you continue into peak time heating to Wednesday, eventually getting into Wednesday evening. You got thunderstorm activity as far north as central and northern Minnesota, all the way down to the Gulf Coast here. You also notice at the same time that there is a nasty negatively tilted trough as well. We'll check out 5 remote bar winds here in a little bit. You can see here how severe weather could potentially continue through the overnight hours as well. You also do notice at the same time here, that is a very strong low over northeastern Minnesota as well. 977 millibar low. Also at the same time though, there could be a pretty nasty blizzard on the backside of this low here as well. You got very strong winds along with heavy snowfall as well. So it's not only there will be severe weather ongoing on Wednesday, you're also going to have a big blizzard out there as well. There'll also be a fire weather risk again over the several plains as well, given by that strong westerly flow as well, bringing in dry air as well. So really by Wednesday here, you may have 3 different things going on here kind of at the same time here. A blizzard, wildfires, and severe weather. Crazy, right? Um, but regardless here, it's going to be a major system here that's going to cause big problems out there as well. And it's unclear if that severe weather risk will continue into Thursday as well. Still a lot of uncertainty out there as well. But let's check out those upper level winds. You can definitely see here very clearly here where your negative tilt trough is. So this is about peak time heating on Wednesday here. Then again, a very nasty negatively tilt trough out there, which typically when it comes to negatively tilt troughs, they can help increase those wind shear values out there as well. And it's also to help pull a lot of this moisture here farther north as well, which could lead to a more widespread event as well. So negatively tilt troughs are not always a good thing out there as well. And you can see here how it continues pretty much all night Wednesday, and eventually it kind of flattens out a little bit as you do get into Thursday as well. And here's a GFS ball here, which does have a little bit of a progression bias. It's not as impressive here, but I would imagine if it were to trend slower, it might be a little bit more closer to the European model solution. But at the same time, the GFS is weaker than the European model, so there is some uncertainty there as well if the intensity of the low here, but regardless here, it'll still be a severe weather maker. Which if we go back to the GFS model here and check out the superset composite here, you notice that there are still some elevated numbers out there, even through the overnight hours as well. And here's peak time heating on Wednesday here. If the GFS model were to be correct, it does show the possibility for some strong severe storms over parts of the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, down through parts of the lower Mississippi River Valley as well, the Texarkana region, and also Dixie Valley as well. So then again on Wednesday, a lot of areas could be involved as well. Which if we do get a sounding here over southwestern Tennessee as well, real quick. And this severe weather risk can possibly continue into the overnight hours as well. Now, of course, as you get farther to the south here, instability values will be higher, but wind shear values are not really there. It's on the lower end, which you can see here on the sounding here. There's not a whole lot of wind direction of height here, but there's also a decent amount of storing to felicity values as well, which does lead to a low end tornado risk. But there is a good amount of, well, mid-level lap rates are strong, and also downdraft K values are strong as well, which can lead to a possibility for some damaged winds and hail out there as well. So despite of having weaker wind shear values, there's still that possibility for some damaged winds and hail for some of those storms as well. And then you continue north here up into parts of Kentucky and Indiana. Wind shear values do increase as you get further north here, but those instability values do slowly back off at the same time as well here. But regardless here, as the instability values do slowly back off. There's still a decent amount of instability. Surface-based CAPE is up to 2,000 joules per kilogram, which is enough for severe weather. Storing Tolicity values are pretty good as well, which can help with the tornado risk as well. But then again, there's still some uncertainty here, a little bit of uncertainty here for Wednesday here, at least for how fast it could go here. But then again here, I would imagine here the GFS will trend a little bit slow here, and I think it's going to be focused a little bit farther back off to the west as well. So really, and then again, that can also possibly continue to overnight hours, especially a little bit farther to the south here as well. So really overall, this is likely good looking to be a multi-day severe weather event. Wednesday, I'm at Tuesday, and Wednesday look to be the most significant days out of the rest. Then again, all hazards will be possible. You got the possibility for damaged winds, large hail, and also tornadoes as well. So, yeah, definitely looks like that next week is going to be a very active stretch of severe weather early next week. But anyways, guys, that's all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Guys, like this video, hit the like button. If you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you've got some questions about this, put a comment section down below. Or if you guys questions, I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye and have a good day.